Thank you very much, Ajay, for the kind invitation. So far we heard that pharmacotherapy, in whatever form you are adding, it's always plus laser, which means pharmacotherapy is an adjuvant to laser treatment. So let's look at why do we not like thermal lasers. We have 2-3 issues with the lasers, and the first and the foremost is we realize that some of the patients we have done a good focal AutoGrid laser, but our macular edema is not going away. Now, with the availability of Optos 200 degree visual field, the field available to us and the angiography, we are realizing that neither the degree of the retinal non-perfusion or the perivascular leak were used as a criteria in the ETDRS or diabetic retinopathy study, and these are the markers of the disease pathology which may play an important role in the future management. So it is now being reported more and more that the patients who are having recalcitrant macular edema, it is not due to the failure of the focal laser, it is because there is overwhelming production of VEGF from the untreated areas which are in the periphery, and higher the glycosylated hemoglobin, the higher the areas of DCNPs. So the targeted photocoagulation TRP is becoming additive to the macular treatment. For example, a patient like this, when you see this, you have to manage not only the edema, you have to as well as manage the disease which is coming from the periphery. So ultra-wide field angiography has helped us assessing the amount of the non-perfusion or the ischemia. It has given us a concept of targeted retinal photocoagulation, because this is going to limit the loss of the field vision in the patients, and it is also important when we are managing diabetic macular edema. Another thing why we never liked thermal lasers were because there is no protection to the vital structures, there is no eye tracking, there is no digital documentation, and there is no consistent application. So many times we ended up with the complications like this. Like this is one of the patients I took pictures just a few days ago. You can see somebody has applied laser right in the center, and on the OCT you see a scar, and on adaptive optics showing the cone mosaic shows a total loss of photoreceptor. Now this is a very scary picture to look at. It puts you off the lasers forever. But we know lasers are a necessary evil. So we are now moving towards getting better laser technologies, and one of them is Navilas. Now these are the differences between the conventional and the Navilas. Navilas this is the system which we are now using. You have a monitor here. You can do your fluorescein angiography right there. Or you can simply do the fundus photograph. You can see the image of this patient which we have done, the fluorescein angiogram. You mark the areas of the microaneurysms which you want to treat. You also put a barrier to the areas which you want to protect, so that the damage which thermal lasers were causing is no longer in your control, because you have protected it already. You can't damage it even if you want. This machine is not going to shoot laser here. If you are used to using your OCT guided treatment, you can incorporate OCT images into the system. If you want to protect the disc, you can do that. So you select the areas of the leak, you select the areas of the microaneurysms, you give the targeted treatment, as in this patient we have done. So these, you can overlay the fluorescein angiography on your color image, and this is the first patient which I was showing after laser treatment. You can see the laser scars, settles, and you can see the fovea which is protected. So it has an advantages of giving you clear-cut guidance, protection of vital structures, eye tracking, digital documentation, and consistency in the application. Another limitation which put us off the thermal lasers was the collateral tissue injury. Even you have not burnt the fovea, you have put the burns very close to the fovea. 4 years down the line, there will be migration of the burns and they will reach the foveal center. And this is a major problem because of the extension of the scars. So because the pulse which we are using is a millisecond laser pulse in the traditional system, which causes the collateral tissue damage. So there has been advances moving on to micropulse, but even with the micropulse, though you will cause the damage to the RPE, you were taking away a plaque of the RPE. So we have moved on to nanosecond pulse laser. So this is the pulse laser, which is the subthreshold laser system, and it's called 2RT. It's retinal regeneration therapy. We are no longer calling it lasers. They are more of a regeneration therapy. Again, you are avoiding the photoreceptors. You are hitting the deeper tissues, but the chemicals which you are producing, even with this laser, they are coming secondarily and producing some damage, though much less damage to photoreceptors. So we have this 2RT, which is called photorejuvenation, in which there is no collateral spread at all. It actually stimulates a biological healing process which results in the cellular rejuvenation, and it reverses these impaired transport mechanisms. So these are some of the things which are moving on, because we do realize that we are having an epidemic of endophthalmitis in our own country due to inadvertent injections and more injections. So that is not probably the solution for us. We still need lasers and we need to move on to the better systems. I'm avoiding because I don't have too much time. Now coming to the second part of my talk, the steroids. As has been shown very elegantly by Dr. Sabira, the triamcinolone probably does not really help if you are giving it as an adjuvant before doing your laser photocoagulation. But there are certain situations where we would still like to give steroids, and this is nothing, this is what is practical approach where we would use steroids, and this cases mainly deal with the Ozurdex implant, which is the dexamethasone implant. This would be my first indication where you see a lot of subfoveal fluid. You can see here a lot of detachment. And as has been mentioned by our previous speakers, you would like to do a good systemic control and combine it with steroids, and I would prefer Ozurdex because of different reasons, including the control of the IOP, which is much better here. So this is at 1 week. You can see the thickness coming down from 1266 to 847, and at 2 months. And this is the second indication. You have a recalcitrant diabetic macular edema. You have given anti-VEGF. You have treated the peripheral ischemia. You have controlled, but still you have the macular edema, and we know it is multifactorial in etiology. And you have some inflammatory cytokines other than VEGF playing a role. So try steroids, and this is a patient who has received everything but responds to an injection of dexamethasone. The third indication is the top panel shows before vitrectomy. You have done a good vitrectomy, but you have a persistent CME, serous detachment. So some of these situations, the steroid work because you have the inflammation combined because of the surgical insult, besides the leaking microaneurysms, which you may do residual laser. This is the same patient before and 3 weeks post-injection showing the restoration. My fourth indication would be during the surgical intervention. Manish is going to talk more about it. But you can see this is a traditional patient we do the vitrectomy for because it is a tractional variety of macular edema. But we also understand this is 3 days post-operative and this is 3 months later. It takes time for the macular edema to go away once you have done surgery. Now I have started giving implant at the end of the surgery. You can see the example of here. You have this patient which has a tractional variety of macular edema. This is before surgery, this is post-op day 3. You can still see the retina is settling down. This is 1 week and this is 2 weeks post-op. It helps in the early visual rehabilitation after surgery. And this is the last indication for me is pre-cataract surgery. Dr. Grewal will be talking about it, but we do inject, and we have published this in ophthalmology, that if you inject Ozurdex implant before surgery, the progression of the diabetic retinopathy you can significantly reduce after cataract surgery. So to conclude, the few things which are in the pipeline are the treatment, which are being happening actually, is the treatment of the peripheral retina, moving more towards the targeted laser treatment, retinal rejuvenation therapy, and steroids only in this select solution. Thank you very much, Ajay, once again for your kind invitation.